Today on Locked On Rockies, let's have some fun this Friday by asking the hypothetical question. If you could fix one of them, would you rather that the Rockies fix the pitching staff or the offense? Simple question, but a lot of layers. Plus, a Rockies prospect I guess we should start paying attention to.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 21st day of November in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here. Talking Rockies baseball, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Plus, you can help the show grow by liking, subscribing, and hanging out there on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section, where you can be part of the show. I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire. Been bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here for over 5 seasons now on the Locked On Podcast Network, where through your support, we've become the #1 sports podcast network. So shout outs to all of you, and shout outs to all of our everydayers out there that make Locked On Rockies their first listen, or if you're over on the YouTube side, your first watch of the day. So we got a great crew, folks. I mean, hey, the Rockies, not a great team. Rockies, been a tough slog. But the Locked On Rockies viewership, the Locked On Rockies nation, all of our everydayers out there, they have showed up big time throughout this season and throughout 2025. So really appreciate it, as folks, we're putting a bow on 2025 in a matter of weeks. How crazy is that? We'll be talking about spring training and pitchers and catchers before we know it. But before we get to pitchers and catchers and spring training and all that jazz, we got to talk about the stuff in the meantime here. And we're going to have some fun on this Friday, talking a little bit about, would you rather, kind of go into one of those hypotheticals, put you in the GM seat here. If you could. Plus, I was just kind of looking around, and there's a name in the Rockies organization that I didn't really recognize, and getting a lot of hype here, at least of late here, especially from Baseball America, from Roldy Brito. We'll talk about that, and we'll read some of your comments from the Locked On Rockies YouTube comments section, all on today's episode. So I wanted to get you fans involved. I wanted to get the Locked On Rockies audience involved. I want to hear from you in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. And you can tell me specific players. We'll dive into specific players and we'll dive into things. But I'm also kind of I want to talk philosophy a little bit here as well. Because for me, when we ask the question, would you rather fix the pitching staff? If you could put the resources, wave the magic, however you want to phrase it, fix, however you want to define fixing the pitching staff or the offense for the Rockies. And this is a conversation we've had multiple off seasons now, right? This is a conversation where it can't be ignored because of just how big of a problem these two areas have been. Now, the obvious answer, and the one that I've said that I've kind of maybe shied towards, as I have said that I'm someone that is a very big offensive-minded guy. The easy answer is the pitching, because of how bad it's been, right? I mean, for the numbers, for the decline in trends, and you would probably argue that you're more concerned about the state of the Rockies pitching staff, both starters and bullpen, versus the offense. When you're talking about ceilings here for the current state of the Rockies, the players that are still on the roster, the players that got major league time, the players that we saw here, there's probably an argument to be made that these, and hard to compare, obviously, the two, but the ceiling of the offense on paper right now is probably higher than the ceiling of the pitching staff on paper. So you'd think the easy answer would be just immediately go for the pitching. But I think every time, it's a weird thing because we can't ignore how big of a deal the Rockies' historic pitching struggles have been. And how big of an issue pitching has been for the Rockies. But as I've said before, and as this new identity is forming, as the new philosophy, as the new approach, as the new pieces are being put into the front office, I think it is more likely that the Colorado Rockies can be successful with a decent pitching staff and a great offense. I don't think a great pitching staff, and to be totally honest, do we really have, by definition, an example of great pitching staff for the Rockies? You get, 18, 19, you can point at some moments in Hermans and Freelands and Ubaldos and Jorge's, and, there are pitchers that have had strong seasons. There are pitchers that have had strong moments. The bullpens have had strong moments in certain times. Big part of why Rocktober ended up at, the Rockies were able to close out games in there. But when I think of the potential success for the Colorado Rockies, I think it comes because they're so good at outscoring you. I go back to watching the Toronto Blue Jays, and we did that episode and we talked about that. That's still one of my main takeaways from the postseason is the great pitching performances that we've seen aside. Again, the Yamamotos and stuff, but great pitchers and elite pitchers, that's just not something I can confidently rely on given the history of the Rockies. And I shouldn't say it. Great pitchers have been Rockies, and there have been great moments in Rockies pitching history. So you can be a great pitcher. But when we're talking about the best in the business, I don't think it's going to take a lot for the Rockies to produce the best in the business when it comes to pitching. But I believe, given their environment, given their philosophies in the past, given their ballpark, given some of the, playing a bunch of teams across, playing all the teams and playing all over, I do think that this team's the real secret sauce for the success of the Colorado Rockies is a great offense. It's a team that needs to be able to out-hit you. Like, and I guess here's kind of like one of the ways I look at it. Would you be more excited for the Rockies to go out and get one of the best pitchers available right now? For example, would and be honest here, because of course these would be incredible to see, incredible to get, right? It would be insane if the Rockies, by chance, by the will of all that's lucky, the Rockies were able to sign Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, Ranger Suarez, Nick Martinez, Chris Bassett. These are the, I'm just looking at MLB's list here. Or would you be more excited by Kyle Schwarber, Pete Alonso, Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger? For me, I think I would be more excited by the big time position player. by the guy that can come in and immediately provide a thump and a huge upgrade in offense. Because that's as frustrating as it was to watch the Rockies pitching staff be what it was last year. For me personally, this is just my personal take here. It was more frustrating to watch the Rockies offense look outmatched, outgunned, outprepared, out everything during what felt like almost basically every game last year. Especially when it comes to runners in scoring position or striking out, drawing walks. This is not the first time I've brought this up on the show. But as we've kind of talked about, philosophies and as free agency is beginning to take shape, as some people are making deals, some people are making trades, Rockies making a couple of deals. I still think when I think about it, when I ask my gut what I truly want to see from the Rockies in terms of moves, it does go back to offense. And it shouldn't be just that way, because the Rockies pitching staff desperately needs help, both the starters and the bullpen. That it is abundantly clear. It cannot be neglected how bad the pitching has been. I think it's an easier fix and a more likely fix for the Rockies to be aggressive in addressing their offense issues and adding talent there than what they'll be able to do when it comes to adding free agent talent on the pitching staff. But I think one of the hidden bonuses of that is that a great offense would give, and I don't think it gets you the top level, but people that might be hesitant about signing with Colorado, if they're a pitcher and they see that there is an offense that can back them up and keep them in games and help them go blow for blow, that might make them more inclined to signing and being with the Rockies. If they're confident in the offense backing them up and keeping them in games, and it doesn't have to fall on them, and the sole responsibility is theirs to keep the Rockies in the game. Could be interesting. All right, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think here in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. We're going to take a break, and there was a piece in Baseball America talking about a Rockies prospect that really caught my eye. Let's do that coming up next. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and price jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Gametime. Gametime, the app that's gotten me to the All-Star game, the app that's gotten me to see some of my favorite concerts here in town. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100%. Yes, never had an ounce of worry when I bought my tickets through Gametime, because they're 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. If you go on Gametime, you can see amazing deals, especially for NFL games, as low as $100. You want to go see Bo and the boys and that number one defense? Depends on who you ask, I suppose. Broncos, you can get a great deal on tickets there through Gametime. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way you're going to buy tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. We're also brought to you by Doer, and I'm super excited to tell you about not only the jeans I got from Doer, but check this out, folks. If you've been watching the show, you know I've been talking about my new favorite shirt, and it's right here. I'm going to pull it up so you can see it. Look at that. It is wonderful. I know it's blocking my my mouth there, but why do I love this shirt? Well, not only I'm a guy that I'm moving around, I run hot. I can't really stand when I'm constricted and feeling like my clothes are tight on me. And the best part about Doer is they are all about technical innovation. They are the pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. Doer combines classic jeanswear style and the flannel style on the shirts as well. With the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear, it's the best of both worlds. I bike to work every day on my e-bike. This shirt keeps me warm, keeps me cozy, and it's got great pockets. You know, if you've listened to the show, when I've talked about the clothing, how important to me are great pockets. These ones right here feel great putting my work ID in there, knowing I can get in and out of work with no problem. Doer are, like I said, the pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants and shirts without having to sacrifice style. And you can check out Doer in store right here in Denver. It's at 2621 Laramie Street. Pick up a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift. Mention my promo code Locked On Denver in store to get 15% off your first order, or check them out online at shopduer.com/lockedondenver for 15% off. That's shopduer.com/lockedondenver. Rock on Rockies fans, back at it here for segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here and making us part of your commute, your day, your morning, your jog, whatever you're doing here. Thank you so much for making us part of your day. And thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast and network. Shout outs to all of you as well there. And again, folks, hey, y'all have been awesome throughout this year, supporting the show, being part of the show. If you like the show, if you're checking us out for the first time, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you're liking the videos. Make sure you're dropping your Rockies hot takes in the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel comment section. We'll talk about some of those here in just a little bit. But before we do that, I saw something that caught my eye here on Baseball America, and it was titled How Roldy Brito Rose from Unranked to Rockies Top 5 Prospect. And this is by Jesus Cano. And this was basically sets the stage here by talking about Roldy Brito and having a relationship with his grandfather, working through that, and then his grandfather suddenly passing here. And then he signs with the Rockies, not for a lot of money, but then the fireworks started this year. Although Brito signed for $420,000 in 2024 with the Rockies, his stateside debut didn't come with much fanfare, even in a system as depleted as Colorado's. However, after a strong 2025, Brito burst onto the scene, rising from being an unranked talent to become the Rockies' #5 prospect heading into 2026. Brito did so by establishing himself as one of the best players in the Arizona Complex League. The 18-year-old slashed .368, .445, .555 with 22 stolen bases and 1,000 OPS, earning the ACL's Most Valuable Player award. In his first taste of full-season affiliate ball, he hit .352 with the .423 on-base percentage across 33 games, showing that his standout performance in the ACL was no fluke. I just want to keep working hard, Brito said. I'm trying to give it my all every day so I can put on a good show so people can keep believing in me. Here, I mean, you love to hear these types of stories here, because here just let me go back into this here real quick, just to dive in to set the stage about this guy. Brito, now listed at 5'11" and 183 pounds, wasn't always the most physically developed athlete in his youth. If anything, his size made him stand out for the wrong reasons. Whenever he and his father, Ronnie, traveled to different parts of the island for showcases, Brito often felt like an outcast before he even picked up a bat. Many called them locos for believing that a skinny, undersized kid could one day play professional baseball. No one thought Roldy could hit. No one thought Roldy could field. No one thought Roldy could become anything more than a kid with a dream too big for his frame. But his father, grandfather, and everyone who loved Roldy always believed he could. No one believed in him, said Ronnie said. Then he just started playing with his heart. People couldn't believe how hard he hit the ball. That's when they started saying, oh, sorry, it loaded on me here. That's when they started saying, wow, your son really is the best. It's easy to say that now with him at the top, but when he was climbing, it was the opposite. He stayed resilient. His heart is what got him here. These are the type of stories, man. This is the type of stuff that you get excited about. And the piece goes on to highlight, of course, the ups and downs here as he gets actually signing his contract, starting going through Major League Ball and starting to go through some of the situations here. But man, this is the type of stuff that this is the stuff that really gets you pumped up about baseball. And it doesn't have to just be Rockies baseball, man, right? These are the type of stories that you just get excited about. And obviously I hope it pans out and he continues to be a guy that really surprises and turns heads around, and now he can really make it so that he's making an impact and making a name for himself, even though he's a youngster. But this is this is how you get romantic about baseball, right? These are the type of stories, and there's certainly plenty more here to this story, and long ways to go until he can make probably making an impact at the major league level. But when to go through all that, to not give up, to keep grinding, that and that's the reminder of how much it takes for baseball, for you to get to where you want to be in baseball. You got to do so much in order to get to single A, and then you got to get to double A, and then you got to get make the jump from the minors to the majors, and especially and then you got to get even just from the lower stages into the higher stages of the minors. There's a million different things here. And I just love reading stories of guys, no matter the organization. And obviously it's great that this is a Rockies story. Putting in the work, grinding, and really saying, this is my moment to do something life-changing. And in order to achieve that, I gotta put the work in. And it sounds like that's what he's doing here. Let's go back to the piece here real quick. In his first 13 games, Brito, this is after he signed, obviously, with the Rockies. In his first 13 games, Brito went 4 for 38 with 7 strikeouts. The pitching was sharper, the routine stricter, and the pressure heavier. Brito's confidence slowly started to decline. The doubts returned, this time directed towards himself. Perhaps he wasn't ready after all, he thought, for the first time since Martin's passing, talking about his grandfather. Brito felt genuinely lost. But this was where all those years of being doubted mattered for Brito. He'd been underestimated before, he'd been overlooked before, and each time had clawed his way forward. So he did the same in the Dominican Summer League and finished strong. After that stretch, found his rhythm. Brito went on to hit 293, 383, 367 across 41 games with 21 RBI, 19 walks, and 20 stolen bases. While the hot second half erased any doubt Brito had, he didn't think it would be enough to warrant a move to the United States the following year. Instead, he got a call much sooner than anticipated as the Rockies sent him to the United States for Instructional League to end 2024. The move set up what was to come, a permanent move to the United States. For the first time in Brito's life, he would be away from the comfort of his own home and in a land he had dreamt about his whole life. Even if he knew this was, oh my goodness, this thing just keeps loading right in the middle of this. Even he would be away from the comforts of his own home and in a land he had dreamt about his whole life. Even if he had knew this was a long time coming, the reality of the situation didn't set in until he boarded the plane from Santo Domingo to Phoenix and was finally at the Rockies facility in Scottsdale. Brito's father knew how tough the mental game would be for Roldy, but he also acknowledged the resilience his son had shown his entire life. I was always certain he would play in the United States, Ronnie said. I told him, your goal is to kill it in rookie ball and finish the year in low A. I was confident he could do it. I always believed in his skill set. And just like Ronnie predicted, it all happened. Now, with his Rockies future ahead of him, Brito knows the journey is far from over, and with his grandfather Martin's voice in his head and his family's faith at his back, he steps into each game the same way he always has, Whatever comes next, it will be for him and for the grandfather who made him believe he could be more than anyone thought possible with a keen eye in mind. I just think that I love that story. I think that's minor league baseball. That's the grind right there, man. That's what it's all about. And rooting for him there. I'm rooting for him, for his family, and go check that piece out. Baseball America as well. All right, we got to take a quick break, and then we'll wrap up the show with your comments coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible. That includes FanDuel, the NBA, full swing, the Nuggets, one of the most fun and exciting and engaging teams to watch in the NBA. And there's no better place to get on the action other than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. When you got the triple-double machine, Nikola Jokic, on your favorite team, well, you might want to get in on the action. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Bummer the Nuggets couldn't secure the comeback against the Bulls, but lots of basketball left, lots of opportunities to get on, Jamal Murray threes or Nikola Jokic assists or Aaron Gordon threes because he keeps putting them up, and the Nuggets looking real promising. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Yes, $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins on FanDuel. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Locked On Rockies here, back with you all for segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much again for making us your first listen of the day. All right, let's talk about who is in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. You can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Gaming Clips 7 says they need to find a way to build a pitching staff with multiple ground ball heavy arms if they want to win in that ballpark. Yes and no. I mean, this has obviously been their main focus. They're pitch to contact, get the weak contact, and they have guys that can excel at that, especially when you're talking about guys that can get those ground balls for the double plays. The defense not living up to the standards of what the Rockies' defensive standards should be this year, but anyway, my one of my takeaways here is it's just like I don't think the Rockies rotation should just be all of one type of pitcher, all of one type of philosophy. I think that's one of the problems that the Rockies found themselves in this year was. And just throughout their staff is the pitch to contact, and some of these guys, Herman kind of the example I think of, and it wasn't really the case here. For them to all kind of be similar styles, you try to get the weak contact, pitch to contact, not huge on the strikeouts. I think that just made the Rockies too predictable, and I think that's something the Rockies being predictable, being easy to pick up. I think that needs to be something they avoid, but. It is Coors Field. You need to keep the ball on the ground. That's the good way to prevent the ball from going over the wall in the thin altitude here. Let's see here. Jim says, I believe that the Rockies front office also needs to be able to look beyond Chris Bryant and find a player who can replace him at some point. The question is who could replace him? Charlie Condon obviously would be the biggest hope there, I think, for when you're talking about that Chris Bryant replacement. First base. Big bat, ideally, even though Chris Bryant hasn't really done any of those things. But when you're talking about replacing him, he would be the one to do so. Let's see. Anything else? I think everything else that I think we've covered everything else. So we're going to head into the weekend, folks. Thank you so much for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. Thank you for hanging out with us. Make sure that you're in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section so I can know what you want to talk about, what's on your mind, what you're thinking about, so we can be bringing that up as well. Thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night, We also got you covered with all the Colorado sports. Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.